Welcome. The Aztec civilization is a gold civilization, one of the gold civilizations, because of course the largest, most famous and most important gold civilization is the ancient Egyptian civilization. And what is amazing is that despite the great distance and separation between Egypt and the Americas, gold had the same meaning in both civilizations, that it is linked to solar worship, because the luster of gold is similar to the luster of the sun, turned gold into light in the form of a metal, and was used extensively in the manufacture of vessels and spiritual ritual tools. The Aztec civilization had a distinctive method in managing its kingdoms, and through this method, gold became part of the economy of these kingdoms. It became part of trade, and part of gifts, taxes, and political bribes that were used as evidence of proof of loyalty. And the Aztec people were floating on a sea of gold and silver mines. When the Spanish colonists reached the areas of influence of the Aztecs, they were affected by the spread of gold in Europe, from which the Spanish colonists came. Gold is a precious and rare metal. When they reached the land of the Aztecs, they found it unavailable to everyone. What interests us in this episode is not the gold, because anyway, we won't get anything from it. What interests us is knowing what the Akkadian civilization is, who are these amazing people, how they created a great civilization, what did it look like, and why did it disappear from existence in one day and one night? The story of the Native American peoples. It begins with the migrations that took place in the period between 10,000 and 7,000 years BC. These peoples moved to the Americas coming from Asia at a time when the Earth was experiencing a stage called the Late Ice Age. During this period, the water level was a bit shallow, especially in the northern regions of the Americas, and especially in the distance between the continents of Asia and the Americas, or between Alaska and Siberia. This created a semi-land passage called the Bering Strait. During the ice ages, a large percentage of the water was frozen, which caused the ocean water level to drop, and thus the land was connected between Asia and the Americas, allowing human migration from Asia to the world. The new and the groups that lived in the Americas spread over a very wide area of land, and each group found its way to live and life, and made their civilization and societies and culture completely isolated from the Old World. The Old World, which is Asia, Africa, and Europe, and in which humanity took its form, that we know most of it from interaction and integration, and sometimes conflict. The Old World. It developed from the Stone Age, when humans used stones to make their tools, to the Bronze Age, when ancient humans discovered that when copper is mixed with tin, a strong alloy is produced that is stronger than copper alone and can be exported alone, and does not require high temperatures to shape and fold it. Thus, the Bronze Age, with the development of civilization, was born. The development of man's use of fire enabled him to deal with another metal that was stronger and more abundant in nature than the components of bronze, which is iron. Man in the ancient world used iron to develop his tools, from the first agricultural tools to weapons and military equipment. This was called in history the Iron Age. These two eras no longer exist. Human groups that migrated in the era, the late glacial period, to the Americas countries, were completely isolated from the path of civilization in the Old World, and went through a completely different path to the form of civilization. The inhabitants of the New World did not know the wheel, did not invent the wheel, and did not depend on metals in their development and building their civilization, or at least not in the same way that was common in the Old World. The basic dependence was on stone and trees, even in terms of war and military tools, their weapons, meaning that metals were relied upon in their pure form, such as copper, gold, and silver, and they were used primarily in decoration and religious rituals more than in the manufacture of agricultural tools or the iron or any other uses. The development of civilization in the Americas also depended upon largely on agriculture, construction, and religion, which had a very special character and ideas completely different from the ideas that prevailed in the ancient world. The human groups in the Americas were small in number and were spread over very vast areas. This led to a kind of emptiness in the industry of these peoples, for their civilization, the pressures that lead to development. Civilization in the ancient world of conflict, and the conflict did not exist here, but still humans are humans. The peoples of the Americas had bloody rituals that cannot be understood in the ancient world, such as the fact that they continued to offer human sacrifices until the end of their era. In the Americas, civilizations were active, such as the Olmec civilization, which lived on the coasts of the Gulf of Mexico in the period between 1500 BC and a quarter BC, and the countries of the people famous for building huge statues and stone Olmec heads. But the Olmec were not the only civilization in this world. There was a large and important civilization that arose in the Yucatan region and in Guatemala and parts of Horus called the Mayan civilization,